Okay, so every time they have me on the brink of letting this go, they take and draw me right on back in. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Lovecraft Country. This is season 1. This is episode 9. Like I said, they always have me right there on the brink of letting this show go, and then they come back in with something that gets me and grabs hold to me. Listen, they got me again. Last week I was like, I am done. I am so done. It just got too spacey for me. Which it's not bad, and I said that's not a bad thing, but you all know I'm not a real big sci-fi fan, so it's hard to hold my attention when you start with these little big head aliens and stuff like that. I'm like, child, now the aliens were a little groovy, you know, a little different, so wasn't quite as bad as like big head aliens that really get on my nerves. But anyway, we go through all that we go through. The last we saw, no, last episode I did like. Last episode was with the Jigaboo twins. I like that one. It was the one before. It was the one before. I'm sorry. The Jigaboo twins was good. They drew me in, but this was really good here. So when we left, Montrose had gotten in the way as usual, because that's what Montrose does. He gets in the way. Montrose drives me absolutely crazy, but he made it possible for the Jigaboo twins to actually attack Dee, but he didn't know he was doing it. So they attacked her, and then when we came back in, we see Dee is actually, something's wrong with her. Like we see, it looks like she's dying. Like part of her, I had to see where they were scratching her arms, and that arm, that one arm was just like dead. It was like dead, like dead, honey, dead. And I was like, oh. So I said, is it like the zombie thing? Like if they bite you or touch you, then it starts to eat at you, that kind of thing. But I don't know if she was just dying at all. But we found out throughout the program, she was basically turning into a Jigaboo. Listen, let me tell you about this head of hair that Miss D got, baby. I said, now that's what I'm talking about. Black girl magic, laying on that pillow. All this big, thick, pretty. I said, look at her hair, honey. Just thick and gorgeous, and she got edges, honey. She got edges. You know, you don't see that, honey, much in Hollywood or on these shows, honey. Nobody has edges, and it wasn't no wig. I said, girl, get down, honey. But I'm always on the wrong thing. But anyway, beautiful head of hair, honey, laying back on the pillow. But she was turning into a Jigaboo, honey. And when she really was out there really turning, she looked cute. She didn't look like some other twins, daddy. She was messed up, but she wasn't like them twins. I was like, oh, girl. Oh. But it was interesting. Anyway, let's go on. So they ended up saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to help her? We can't get the curse up off of her. Then they were saying, there was stuff going on with the cop who actually put it on her. He was dying. And there was a thing where we saw, it looked like I didn't know if he had like tattoos or what he had. He literally did have body parts of African American people. They were like taking African American people and taking their midsection, their torso, and putting his stuff on top of the torso. And it was a whole mess. It was a whole mess. And he was basically dying. I don't know what it is that he has on him, but something he got on him was actually taking him out. Okay? And they were saying, we can't do it again. We can't find nobody. And he was having this whole little issue. Christina rolled up on him, baby, and told him, she talked some smack to him and basically told him, I knew you were dying. You die a little bit every time, but this time you're not going to be able to stop it. And I just wanted to roll up on you and see you die all the way for the last time. I said, oh, Miss Christina, but she came as William with his gorgeous self, honey, and she watched him, baby, as he took his last breath. But that's where I was able to actually see it, because in the other part, when I seen it, it was kind of dark, but he was in the light where I could see it. He literally did have a black man's torso, and we could see where they were actually cutting up another black man. That was a whole mess. They do the level of witchcraft that they're into is what really makes this really interesting. They are really deep into the dark magic side of it. I was like, oh, child. But so we got rid of him. But the only problem was when he died, the actual spell, the curse that he put on D, it the reversal died with him. So Christina agrees to help D. They were having this whole conversation back and forth, and they were talking about giving the Titus's pages to her for her to help D. So Tech had to come out and say, and Letty had to come clean and tell him she already has Titus's pages. I was trying to get Tech set up for immortality so that, that's how I did it and all that. And they were going around and around, and they were almost getting ready to tell the story of how she was actually pregnant and all of this, because everybody's in here and everybody got these secrets. And it's funny because most of the people in the circle know some of the other secrets and don't want to tell it. Tick knows what's going to go down in the future and all of that. So anyway, they get Christina, and he's saying he'll get Christina to do it. He's going to sacrifice himself. Because he didn't know. He thought that's how it was supposed to go down anyway, because he knows that in the end, Christina is going to turn on him. She's going to flip on him and give him up and murder him during the equinox. So he knows that already, and I guess he figured that the whole thing with Dee is when he actually puts himself in to work with her. Well, Ruby intercedes and says, no, she'll do it for me. She'll do it for me. So she came in there and did her thing, did it for her girlfriend, honey, and they was all looking at her. I said, yes, baby, y'all are playing in the dark arts, but they're playing in the real dark arts, honey. The real dark arts. Don't even get in here from me, honey. I said, Miss Ruby, honey, liquor, Miss Ruby. Anyway, you must got some good stuff, Miss Ruby, honey. But when she asked her, then she's down there, and they had the woman. And I just realized that woman, the white woman, was actually the groundskeeper. Remember the groundskeeper when Letty busted her with that shovel, honey, when they was off on the grounds in Arkham? That's who that woman is. Never connected. I never put that together that actually was her. But anyway, I looked at Ruby. Ruby is falling further and further over onto that side. I clocked that. I said, now, Miss Ruby, girl, what's going on? Miss Ruby ended up telling, she said, told Christina, yeah, when I imagine myself as a white woman, I imagine myself with red hair. I said, oh, so you done fell all the way into this bull crap, into this facade, honey. But I'm like, girl, that's a mess. Her and Letty ended up having a little argument later on, too, where Letty was telling her, you cannot trust Christina. She's like, just like you can't trust Tig. And she's like, no, I know better. She's like, yeah, I know better too. I shouldn't even be over here with y'all. I should be in that car. And you should be in the car with me. I said, oh, Miss Ruby, you done drank the Kool-Aid, girl. But anyway, Ruby and Christina end up having this little conversation. And Ruby confronts Christina. She says, are you going to flip on... Are you going to flip on Tech? And she told the truth. See, I live for Christina. The fact that Christina will tell the truth. Christina's ruthless. That bitch is a savage. She really is. She told her, listen, it's not my fault. Everything was laid out before I ever came along. I need his blood to do what it is that I need to do. The only problem is I need all of it. So, yeah, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'm going to take him out. It just is what it is. So, Christina stops the Jigaboo transformation. And she was just about gone there for a minute. She stops it, but it's only a 24-hour fix. It's only a 24-hour fix. They're like, we got to find something else. And to really stop it, we need her next of kin. Her closest blood relative to actually be able to, stop this stuff. So, now all the secrets is really running out, baby, and they're going through all this. And right then is when Hippolyta showed back up. And they were like, Hippolyta, she's like, Dee's sick, isn't she? So we end up finding out Hippolyta has been off doing whatever she's doing. She's been on she was somewhere for 200 years, and then she got it all together. But she came back to use everything she learned and all the power that she had to save her daughter. Period. She was able to see from wherever she was. She was able to kind of like watch over. But baby, she come back kind of the same day. So she had to go back and open the time portal again. This time they need to get the actual book of names back. They need to get the book of names, and they needed to go and get it from it's Tick's great grandmother's family. It's like Tick's mother's family, who all actually burned up in this fire back in 1921, I believe it was. Yeah, 1921. So they had to go back to 1921. They needed to find and get this book, the Book of Names, and get all of that. And they had to go back in time and anytime you do time travel, you cannot change anything, because if you change one thing, it'll change everything. This is where I got irritated, because there's always one person who always makes everything harder than what it actually is supposed to be. And in this program, it's always the goddamn Montrose. Anyway, so they go. Montrose has so many secrets. And he's so at war with himself. See, his gay wears his ass out. You understand me? I told y'all this before. He is one of those gay individuals who is very, very dangerous to other individuals, because you will go so far to clean your mess that you'll be willing to hurt other people. And you're very selfish, and you just... I can't with Montrose. I just can't. Montrose really burns my bread on both sides. He does. He irritates me real bad. But anyway, so they come in, they go back. She said, I need, a certain amount of time to do it. There is Tick, Letty, Montrose. They're all going to go back and get this here stuff. Now, there's a whole lot going on. So you got George there, and so now Montrose has to tell some of the story, because now we get ready to run into the fact that we get ready to do all this, and George may actually be Tick's father. But we're going back to 1921, so we got to tell all this. So she opens the portal. She gets the portal open. They go in. Montrose is just standing there. Letty is there, and Tick has gotten there. They're like at a hotel looking across the street, and they're seeing stuff. It's the day of the prom. It's the day of the senior prom. George and Tick's mother were supposed to be going to the prom together. Montrose finally goes in after Hippolyte's like, what are you doing? Get your ass in there. So he goes. They get over there. And then that's when it ended up opening up this whole other part of the story. And I was like, oh my God. Child was sitting on the end of the bed like this. Oh my gosh, honey. So we ended up opening up Montrose's whole story. He was a little boy. That same day, he's like 12. And we see his dad is whooping the shit out of him, making him with a switch off the thing. And he still can't tell his story the way that it needs to be told. They're like over around the corner, sitting there watching from afar, and he's telling them, yeah, my dad caught me trying on George's tuxedo jacket. They had that tuxedo jacket especially made for him. They didn't need me messing it up. Again, not telling your whole story. That's not what you were getting your ass whooped for. You were getting your ass whooped because it wasn't about putting the jacket on. You were putting the flower in your hair. That's what you got your ass whooped for. He was putting the goddamn corsage upside his head. I said, oh, Miss Montrose. Girl, but you're so in it. Now, that didn't happen all the way back in 1921. This is like over 30 years ago. And you still can't even admit to what actually happened as far as just you getting the ass whooping from your dad. You couldn't even admit what was going on. You still spinning a narrative and spinning a story and telling bits and pieces. That just goes to show you how screwed up he is. His gay wears him out. And it's sad. It is sad. And I was sitting there. This episode really did bring me to tears. It brought me to tears because there was so much going on. I've never had that issue with my gay. My gay never wore me out like that, but I know people who did. Y'all know I'm a house mother and all that stuff. And I've dealt with, other gay folk who have come along that I try to help and mentor and deal with them. And they've been through a lot of this stuff, and it's terrible. It really is terrible, and it really gets deep. So this was really good. Pay close attention because this is some of the shit that people go through, y'all. But anyway, so all of this is going on. The dad whoops him down, and then Tick's mother actually interfered with the ass whooping he was getting because he was whooping his ass outside. And she said, "Stop it! Stop beating him. This, that, and the other. Whatever it is, it ain't that bad. You can't beat him like that." And then her father came out on the porch and told him because he told her, "You better get out of here, gal, or I'll take and whoop your ass up too." And his dad told the dad, Tick's what would be Tick's grandfather, told him, "You know what, man? You handle your children however you want to handle your children. But don't fuck with my daughter, because I'll tear your ass up." And I said, "But wait a minute, did y'all catch this? Baby, their dad was fine, honey." I said, "Oh, come on, Daddy." I said, "Come on, Daddy. Tell him, Daddy. Tell him how you gonna whoop everybody's ass, Daddy." But anyway, so anyhow, getting to see this made Tick even more angry. Tick got more angry, and he was saying, again, he always goes back to all of the ass whoopers and things that he got beat, and it is crazy because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You would think that it would be the opposite. You would think that Montrose would be so loving and caring and softer on Tick, but he wasn't. He was like this monster to Tick to make sure that Tick wasn't gay, and it was crazy. So we went into that. Then we end up going into a thing. They said, okay, so the prom was canceled. And for whatever reason, there was this riot, and the white folks came into because this was like more of a decent black area. White folks came in and they burned everything down. And what we end up finding out is that Tick's family, his mother's family, everybody perished that night. They all perished that night in the house. The house was burned down to the ground. She was actually out. And it's crazy because the mother, the only reason why she didn't die along with the family is because she was out with George going to find Tick because Tick ended up, not Tick, I'm sorry, Montrose, because Montrose got beaten. After he got beat, he ran and left. And they ran off to find him to get him to bring him back home is the only reason why she ended up missing, being burned in the flames with the rest of her family. So somewhere in there, and she had chastised George. She said, "Well, you gonna say nothing? This, that, and the other. You gonna let your dad just do your brother like that?" And that's when Montrose had said to them when they were watching, said, "She's wrong right there. Nobody ever protected me more than George. George always protected me, but that was where the connection came. And I don't know at what point we can get that. At what point that she ended up more going toward Montrose than George, but somewhere in there, George hit that booty, honey, as well. Because we didn't. At the end of it, we still don't know the real paternity. We don't know who's who. But Tick got so angry, and Tick was crying, and he was like really more angry with Montrose. And then him and Montrose had this other moment where Montrose told him, it was this and it was that. But the one thing that is true is that I never wanted to be anything in life other than your father. I wanted to be your father. I put my pride to the side, knowing that George slept with her, he slept with her, whatever, that she was in love with George too. I think she got tied up between the two. I think she fell in love with Montrose because she felt sorry for Montrose, and I think she was in love with George all along. But I think she just kind of like fell in love with Montrose because she was just, the underdog, child get you. Sometimes the underdog will get your panties down. Sometimes you feel sorry for one, honey, and you just be like, you let him hit it, honey, because you felt sorry for him, and the next thing you know, he got you, honey. All because you felt sorry for him. Let me tell you, honey, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so all of that was going on. So I said, oh, jeez, okay. So all that's going on. Now, by this time, they done separated out. Montrose dashes off. They're like, what the hell? I said, here we go again. Montrose on his own thing. They're thinking that Montrose is going to warn George, because that's the night George got shot. Because George got into a whole fisticuffs, honey, with some white folks. Because the white folks was cutting up that day. And they got into a little fisticuffs, honey, and George ended up getting shot. And we were thinking that Montrose was running to warn George. And they're like, you cannot do that. You got to let it play out. Because if you do that, anything you do to change it is going to change the way everything is going to go down. You can't do it. And this is real deep, how this is getting ready to wrap up, y'all. How this is getting ready to wrap around. So they had to separate up to go. They had to send Letty into the house. To the house with Tick's mama's family. And she had to get into the house. Once the riot started, we would take, black folks would take people in. They said, come on, she's our new friend, Miss Letty, come on in here. They got her in. She got in the house, so she was able to start sneaking around trying to look for the book and stuff. Because, there was such chaos going on. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. Y'all hold that, because that was real, real powerful, baby. Miss Journey Smollett, baby, you need to be nominated for something. You really do. You need to be nominated for something, because, girl, you are acting your ass off. Her and the guy that plays Tick. Them two, they are the best male and female leads. They are turning this out. They really are. But Miss Journey, girl, but I told y'all, this is Miss Journey's wheelhouse. Supernatural. Miss Journey kills this stuff. Always has, from a little girl. From Eve's Bayou all the way out. This is her wheelhouse. But anyway, just like George, the one that plays George, which is Angela Bassett's husband, Sydney plays, turns it out. Anyway, okay, I'm losing my light. Anyhow, so Tick finds Montrose, and it wasn't at all that he was trying to warn George. It was another guy. It was this cute little guy who he was friends with. And here it was. He was there to tell the boy, I can't be friends with you anymore because you're a black fag, honey. This kind of thing. He was basically hurting his feelings and shooing him away. And he said I was going to warn him, because he said he won't change nothing. He won't change nothing. He actually loved him. He loved him. I think he was the first boy that he actually loved. And all in the same time, he's the first person that he got hurt with his bullshit. Okay? So I'm going to tell you, honey, in the midst of, this is where George got shot. See, George came and George found him, but he found him with the boy. Him and the boy had been surrounded by this little clan group. They had surrounded him. They said, oh, black fags. And that's what they said. They picked up on it, because they was just going to harass them a little bit, but they got so scared that they ain't paid attention. They had grabbed hands, was holding hands, and they was like, oh. So they was really wanting to beat him even worse. And they had started, doing what they was going to do. But what ended up happening is they, going to go over the top, because that's what they do with the gays. They go over the top, honey. And they blew his brains out, just blew his brains out. And that's what Montrose was going to try to stop from happening. And Tick had told him, you can't do it. You can't do it. You gotta let it happen. You can't do it. And so once that happened, that's when Tick's mother and George had showed up. And they started they were all surrounded, basically. And then we remember that there was this story that George always used to tell, him and Montrose, and they would tell the story about this mysterious stranger. Said the mysterious stranger that showed up out of nowhere with this bat. and they were literally surrounded, and they were going to be killed. George had gotten shot already, like a shot in the arm or something. It was like a shot, but they had him sitting there, and it was George, Tech's mama, and the boy had gotten his head blown off, and they had him surrounded. They were literally going to kill him and everything. And then this mysterious stranger turned up, and we're like, okay, where's he at? Where's he at? And this is what Montrose is like. He said, just wait, because there's a mysterious stranger that shows up. And he said he took care of it. Like, he come out of nowhere and he beat the hell out of them. And then he said, he looked at me and he said, and Tech looked at him and said, I know this story. Uncle George, tell me the story. He said he came like Babe Ruth, because he came with a bat and he beat the hell out of him. And Tech looked at Montrose and said, I got you, kid. That's what he said. And looked down, baby, there was a bat that was laying on the ground. And Montrose looked at me and said, oh my God, you are the mysterious stranger. So even, it was so crazy how they wrapped it. They literally wrapped it that they weren't changing anything. Everything was going the way it was supposed to go. They were always there from the future, even in the past. That's the way it actually had played out. Oh my God, I was like done. I was done. I said, y'all better write this shit, honey. And baby, you know, we've seen our Tech, honey. Tech went over there and did what he do, baby. He beat the shit out of him, honey. Tore their ass up and then told him, I got you, kid, and went on back. And that was that. Now let me go ahead on over, honey, to the house. So when all that was going on over at the house, they was, you know, everything's getting all riled up, honey. They surrounding the house and all of this. Letty is rambling. Honey, what she turned out to be, she's actually the grandmother, she's the great-grandmother of Tech's mother, okay? So she was actually Tech's mother's mother. Yeah, she was Tech's mother's mother, which would make her Tech's great-grandmother. Yeah, she's Tech's great-grandmother. Anyhow, so she had came back there and she caught Letty and she pulled a gun on her. She said, what you doing, girl? See, I knew something wasn't right about you. I ain't never seen nobody with no shoes like them. Where you come from, gal? This, that, and the other. So Letty's like, oh my God, this is not going to make sense, but I can tell you. So she went and told her, and she told her this, that, and the other. She told her, I'm from the future, and blah, 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 blah. So it was just them in there. Stuff started going down, and she told her, she said, so that means if you're from the future and you ask me about Book of Names, then that means we don't make it out of here. And she said, no. She said, how does this end? She's like, so she told her, she said, okay, she said, let me go. Sure enough, had a panel on the wall, baby. She go in there, pulls out the Bible, baby, and it was the Bible and something else wrapped up. It was all wrapped up together, honey. She had it all wrapped up. She gave it to Letty and told her, she said, I'm carrying, she said, I'm pregnant, I'm carrying what will be your great-great-grandchild. And she told him, she said, baby, you go on and you take care of it. And she said, you got to get out the fire. She said, I'm covered in witch. She said, I'm magic, and I won't perish in the fire. Because they started throwing like fire and stuff through there. And the grandmother told, she said, pray with me. So she started doing the prayer, baby, and she's holding her hand. And baby, they did this thing, baby. I was a mess. You hear me? Tears everywhere. I was a mess. But that actress, she's in other stuff a lot of times too. She's a fierce actress, baby. But her and Journey, lead actress and supporting actress all day long, baby. Because they played that part, honey, where how she had to stand there with her and watch the great-great-grandmother literally engulf in flames and go down. Oh, it was too much. And that was a mess. So that was all that was going on. Ciao. And you know, all this is going on. They get through all this. Of course, Letty ain't burning in the fire, so she's able to walk out of the fire, baby. She got the book and she's walking out of the fire. and she's on her way back. Now Tick gets back, Montrose gets back, and they're waiting on Letty. They're like, "Where's Letty?" And you see Letty coming through like an X-Men baby. I said, "Come on, Letty." She coming down the street, baby, walking, and bullets is flying off of her. Shit's blowing up, and baby, come on, Miss Letty. She came on down, baby. This was so good. She come on down, and they were waiting. They were trying to get through, and at this time, you could see. Oh, and I can tell y'all, child, Hippolyta turned her, so she said, the thing, it needs a motherboard to even open the portal back up. She opened up her arms, honey. She got the blue things on her arms. That's what she said. I am part of the system at this point, baby. So she became the motherboard. She connected herself to the portal. That's how they were able to open it. But then she was saying she couldn't hold it open. And she had started like having a seizure. And that's what they was like. She said, Tick said, "No, you got to do it, Letty," because he came back through the portal. Montrose was still standing there. He wasn't going to leave without Letty. I said, "Come on, Montrose. Come on, Montrose, because, you know, you'd be making me sick." So I was here for that. I said, "Come on, Montrose." So he said, "Okay." And that's when that damn Tick told her, "No, you got to do it. You got to do it. Do it for D." Baby, when I tell you, girlfriend, I said, "Is she turning into Storm, honey?" She said, honey, and her eyes turned white and flipped back, and lightning bolts was coming out, and she started levitating, baby. I said, "Girl, you better save your daughter, honey." She floated all the way up. Tick ran up the little thing so he would be eye level with her, and he coaching her on, honey. She was breaking it up, and her hair just and turned blue, this beautiful aqua blue color, honey. And here she ended up turning into that character that Dee draws in the book, into the whole alien being. She turned into that character, and I was like, this is so pretty. Like, it was like this whole, if you like X-Men, honey, it gave you this whole Storm moment. But baby, she did it. She held the thing open, baby, and they came on through. They were able to come on back through. Let's see, I don't want to forget anything. There's the other thing that was going on. There was this opera singer singing this song, honey, all while the last parts of this, the real heavy stuff was playing, and she was singing, "Sister, sister, and brother, brother, come." I said, girl, it was too much. It was too much. It was taking me down, honey. I said, "Oh, this is too much." And then when it get to the very end part, honey, she hit this note. I said, oh, it was everything. It was everything. So that was it, honey. So they saved Dee. She saved her. The curse went back, baby. They got back. Everybody got back. But that was the thing. It ended out, honey, and we still do not know, actually, the paternity. We don't know if it's really George or if it's really Montrose that actually is his father. But the whole thing is the love. He got both. He got both. That's all there's to it, honey. It is what it is. And I think he forgave Montrose in that moment. It got real deep there, y'all. Real deep. And I lost all my light doing this, but that's why I just kept talking. I ain't gonna worry about it. Y'all can hear me, and we're done, y'all. Yeah, there's one more episode left, and I hope it stays right where we are, because I'm totally engulfed. I love this. I did love this episode, and I did love my Jigaboo Twins last week. So this was good. This was good. Even the space stuff, you know, because I tell you, I do the X-Men stuff now. I'm good with that type of sci-fi, but that's more fantasy than sci-fi. Anyway, let me go, because I'm really still losing more light. Let me get on out of here, child. Anyway, I will talk to you all. Hit it in the comments. If there's anything I forgot, I'm sure there probably was, because there's always so much going on. Put it down in the comments and we'll talk about it. All right, later, you all. Bye.